And so here you have an image of sodium, um, NaCl, kind of arranged into these little crystals. So here you see a magnified grain of salt right here, right? These little cube-shaped things, like solid. And this is them. This is the same thing, but like zoomed in into like an image. So you'll see here that all of the Na pluses are these little light-colored ones, kind of gold-colored, and these bigger ones, these Cl, the chlorine ions, are these greenish ones. And you'll see that every negative particle is connected to a positive one, right? And that's why they're arranged in this crystal shape, because they're all the negatives are attracted to the positives, and so they arrange themselves this way, right? And so we see here we have just this little tutorial that's going to kind of show us how ions are formed, right? So the forces that hold the ions together, and then just how it structures an ionic compound, right? So the box contains two negatively charged ions. What happens when you try to drag them closer to each other? And so here I'm trying to drag them close to each other. And as you see, as I drag one closer to the other, it repels the other one, right? And these are because these are the same charge, right? A negative and a negative, they're the same charge, so they repel each other. They don't attract, they push each other away. So you see, they kind of, yeah, bounce off of each other. Right, so now you have a positive and a negative ion here, a positive and a negative charge. So let's look at what happens when you bring these ions together. So right here, you see I'm bringing the negative one towards the positive, and already you can see that they are attracting each other, right? So I'm trying to kind of stay away, and it still keeps attracting to the negative, right? And when you bring them close enough, this negative and this negative and positive, they are attracted to each other, right? Opposites attract. And so they stick together, right? This is what, again, what opposite charges do. And so opposite charges attract and they stick together. Alike charges, like the negative and the negative, they repel each other, right? They push each other away. And so in order to build an ionic compound that sticks together, you need opposite charges, both positive and negative ions. Remember, that's all an ion is a positively or a negatively charged atom. A positively charged is a cation, a negatively charged is an anion. And so here the positive ion is formed from an atom that has a tendency to lose electrons. Since metals can easily lose electrons, the positive ion will usually be a metal, right? So over here on this part of the periodic table, let me come to this one. Right here on the left side, these are the metals, right? Everything over here on the left side of the periodic table. And so let me kind of erase some of these things just so they're not as distracting. But yeah, everything here on the left side of the periodic table, these are the metals. And these have less electrons, so that's why they tend to give them up instead of accepting them. And so here, these in the yellow again are the metals. And so they will lose electrons and make themselves overall positive. All right, so again, on the left side, they will lose electrons and become positive because electrons are negative, and if you lose those, you become overall positive. The negative ion is formed from an atom that has a tendency to gain, right? So if these on the right side of the periodic table are gaining electrons, they're going to become negative. They're going to become the negative ions, right? And so when they gain these electrons, they're going to be these here, and these are the nonmetals. This one is not included because remember, these don't bond with anything because they already have their full outer shell. Atoms on the right side, again, these in the yellow, they're going to get an electron, gain an electron, and become negative. That's why we always see Na plus, the Na is over here, and the Cl minus is over here somewhere. Right, so we learned that metals form positive ions because they give away an electron. Nonmetals form negative ions because they are accepting those negative electrons. Therefore, metals and nonmetals bond together because they form an ionic bond, right? One becomes positive, one becomes negative, opposites attract, and so they bond with each other. Let's take a closer look at how this works.